Evolution Goblin Drill in a nutshell. Goblin Drill will be the next evolution coming to Clash Royale. You can find it in the shop mid-season, kinda like EvoZap. Bonus points if you use code Abdod if you buy it. It's got identical stats to normal drill and has a 2-cycle counter. It's one of the most unique and complicated evolutions in the game. Let me explain. It has this injury mechanic but with 2 indicators instead of 1, and whenever an indicator is reached, it goes underground, spawns some goblins, then returns again for a total of 3 times. What makes it complicated is that when placed around a tower, it doesn't return in the same spot, but instead it circles around the tower. The pattern took me a few hours to understand, but let me take a screenshot and whip my pen out to explain this. When you place a goblin drill on a tile, the final position for it would be on a mirrored position relative to the tower itself, not the arena. Let's do a quick test here and say, if this was an evolved drill, where would the final drill spot be? It would be right here, and going in-game, it shows that I was correct. The middle position is, well, in the middle between them, but it takes the side that is away from the king tower. This information is very important later on when I explain how to counter it. This circling mechanic for the drill is not applicable when placed around a king tower. In fact, it doesn't work even if both towers were taken out. I also want to state that if the tower is broken, it stops working on that side. Even if you placed a building in the same position of your broken tower, it's no use. Dude, that brings me back to 2016 days. If you manage to break the drill immediately, it would not submerge, meaning the mechanic is all gone. But if you heavily damage it, then it would still submerge twice regardless, as it saves the ability. Picking a position might feel overwhelming with all these different combinations, but I did the testing and know exactly where to play it. You want to play it on the lower side of the tower and have it slowly progress its way to the top and not the other way around. Let me explain why. First of all, when you play it on the top, if the enemy uses a log, then their log is more likely to take out a larger number of goblins since it covers a larger area of drills. However, when placed down, the log can't physically go backwards, so it would only cover up one of the 3 drills. Second point is, due to how troop targeting system works, having it start from the bottom to the top for some reason results in more goblin connections. Third point is, in case you had other troops in a push, then these troops will end up pulling, let's say, the enemy's dark prince away from the second and the third drill positions. When using it as a defensive building, it proves to be more effective against slow things like giant and balloon, as it would have them go back and forth and waste a ton of time in the process. However, against quick stuff like Hog Rider, it's unusable, as the moment it goes underground, the hog is already on tower, so good luck getting him back on the drill. Now, you might be thinking, how do I counter this shit? And to be honest, it's 3 drills for 4 elixir. It's quite hard to stop, and it should be getting nerfed at some point. Generally, you can't use Swarm, as every time it submerges, it will deal damage and take your skeletons out completely. However, if you really had to use Skeleton Army, if you play them in an outer position, then they would for the most part be able to avoid the spawn damage and even take out the entire drill without any damage. For ranged splashers, you want to place them away from the drill, which means around the king tower side. As I stated earlier, the second drill usually avoids going to that side, because if you put them around the drills, then besides taking more spawn damage, the submerging will push them and have them retarget on the drill and away from the goblins, which would wreck your tower. This doesn't apply on the undisputable GOAT, the bowler, as he is immune to knockback and will fully destroy all 3 drills if placed around here. He can still perfectly stop it if played around the king tower side, because he is the best Evo drill counter, but it's just a bit harder to pull off. For mini tanks like Dark Prince, placing them on the inner side close to the king tower will just cause them to have to awkwardly walk around the tower, which is definitely not ideal. Instead, you should place them around here so they would be in the range of the first 2 drills and very close to the third one, so they don't have to walk around that much. These positions even work when the drill is placed above the tower instead of below the tower, but it gets a little bit awkward when someone places the drill on the side of the tower instead of behind it or in front of it. And obviously, Bowler is entirely unaffected by the other positions, he just deals with it flawlessly regardless of the situation. 2 things I want to note is, first of all, having buildings behind your tower doesn't stop the drill, as it will just spawn right above them as if they weren't here. And a frozen drill can still go underground and submerge, and the goblins spawned from submerging are spawned unfrozen. This is such a goofy evolution, and while it's broken, I'm glad the design actually complements the card mechanics. Do you agree, my dudes?